Morning. Thank you so much for attending our session today. Today we'll be discussing residency interview tips, and we are so delighted to welcome Dr. Alice Gallo. She is an associate professor of medicine at Mayo Clinic in Rochester. Dr. Alice, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us one thing that you love to do in your spare time?
Absolutely. So, hi everybody. I'm Alice Gallo. Like what Aisha said, I work at Mayo Clinic. I am an intensivist and a pulmonologist, and I'm also an associate program director for the internal medicine residency program here at Mayo in Rochester. And I like to do so many things. I have so many interests outside of medicine. The first thing that I think about is reading, because I'm in my office at home. And I do have an office that is organized, that is rainbow-nized, and I did rainbow-nize things before the Netflix show came on. I've always had things in rainbow themed colors. So I would say read. I love to read non-medical books. Love it. If you guys have tips on books, give it to me. I love them.
What's been your most favorite so far?
I have so many. I do how about this? I'll do fiction, historical fiction, and nonfiction. So total fiction, I've got to say Harry Potter. Any Harry Potter, it's like I love them all. And like the one that I'm reading, and I read them like every so often, and I read them both in Portuguese and in English. And okay, that's fiction. Historical fiction, I'm currently obsessed with a book called The Author Einstein, which is a story about the the Albert Einstein's first wife. They found some letters between her and him, and actually she helped him with the relativity theory, and he totally did not put her name on the papers. Do not do that. Totally authorship fraud. But regardless, like super great book. And then so that's historical fiction. And then real, I have to say Educated by Tara, what's her name? Educated Tara Westover. And is this woman who was homeschooled as a teenager, middle school or teenager, and then she decided to go to college. And when she gets to college, here's the first interview. Oh, and when she gets to college, someone who will love you in all your damaged glory. Oh, I like that title already. But Tara Westover then wrote about her experience being homeschooled and then wanting to go to college, how much her parents did not teach her. They didn't teach her about the Holocaust. They didn't teach her about like a lot of things that they thought was controversial. So yeah, I'll read anything. Send me your tips. I'm gonna someone who will love you. Peso do pássaro morto. Peso do pássaro morto. That sounds sad. Peso do pássaro morto is like the weight of the dead bird. Okay, I'll read those. My first interview was 2021.
Yep.
Okay, I thought it was longer than that, but that's okay. Longer ago.
Oh, well. So we will start with the questions.
Okay.
And Aisha?
Yeah, so we'll just ask, so the first question is, what should a candidate not do during an interview?
Not do. So many things. I don't have a particular order. I'm just gonna think about the things that I remember seeing, witnessing, and things like that. So virtual interviews, let's start there. World of virtual interviews. Do mind your background. So do not have laundry or dirty clothes in your background. Like I had someone who had that on the, granted, I was telling Deborah earlier, this was like very first year of virtual interviews, so I don't know if people are already like aware of like etiquette and things like that, but like this is year 4 or 3 of virtual interviews. There's no excuse. Again, I don't have anything fancy. I don't have anything fancy, but like it's clean, clean, all of that. Another thing is you do not need to have fancy or expensive clothes, but they need to be clean. They need to be, if it's something that wrinkles, so for example, linen is something that wrinkles a lot, make sure that is pressed before you start your interview. Again, no one cares if your hair is curly, purple, pink, no one cares, but it cannot be, I'm a little disheveled because I just came from work, but like still a ponytail, still like, so make sure that you pay attention to those things. So don't be not clean and and pay attention to your background. Don't talk poorly or ill about other places where you worked or other places where you're trained. I know sometimes it's easy in the heat of the moment or in the nervousness not to be mindful and say things like, oh, that mentor didn't help me, or University of Alice didn't have all the electives I wanted, I'm saying University of Alice because it doesn't exist, so people don't think I'm like trashing. But like there are ways of saying things. So for example, okay, let's say you wanted to do a clerkship and your school is not one of the ones that is affiliated with ESLO. Oh, my school doesn't have ESLO. No. Unfortunately, the school I chose, which is an amazing school, didn't have the opportunity for me to go do a clerkship via VSLO. That's why I didn't come to Mayo Clinic before. But I did this awesome clerkship elsewhere. Blah 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 blah. Talk about it. Other things. So again, for example, if you have a research experience and you didn't publish anything with that person, with that mentor, we will ask about it. And again, I'll say like, oh, they were not a good mentor, because all relationships require 2 people, right? So like it's a 2-way street. So what was your part of it? So again, don't say like, oh, my mentor didn't mentor me well. Say something like, I learned that year that I needed to be more organized in terms of time. And because I learned that throughout the first 9 months, I already have like these 3 projects that are being written and are going to be submitted before match day. That's fine. Do not lie. Do not lie. Please do not lie. Do not lie on writing. Do not lie on spoken word. Don't lie. Sometimes people send me their CVs to check and things like that. We can spot embellished CVs. We can spot them. It's very different when people talk enthusiastically about something than when they embellish something. I don't know if you all noticed, like you asked me about the books. I'm like, oh my God, I have so many. I love books. But I could tell you immediately 3 books that I love very much. People say, oh, I love to read. And then you ask them like, oh, what do you like to read? Like, tell me the last book you wrote. And people go like, okay, so the last book you wrote, it was 10 years ago, and you're saying one of your hobbies is reading? Like, that makes no sense. So again, be very careful with your words. People's word matter a lot in the United States. I don't know if we only have like foreign grads. I don't know if we have US grads also, but like your word is very powerful and matters a lot in the United States, both written and spoken. So again, be careful. And it's one of the few things that we truly have, right? Like one of the few things that is truly ours, our word. Those are the ones that come like quick. Oh, Domi Street, anyone in the interview season, day, dinner. I don't know if all of you follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, but it's at Gallo de Moraes, MD, both of them. I said that recently, and Leo at Magical America also liked it. Everywhere you are, you're being interviewed during interview season. So like, if you came for a clerkship, it was a 30-day long interview. If you are coming to a place for an interview, your interview started the moment we invited you for an interview, and you had to interact with our program coordinators immediately. Thank you, Yasmin, appreciate you. Immediately starts with like, because let me tell you, if anyone in the team, anyone feels like you didn't treat them well, they will let us know. And again, matching for internal medicine at least, is a 3-year commitment. Matching for OB-GYN is a 5-year commitment. Matching to neurology is a 4-year commitment. So imagine that, like, we need to pay attention to this thing. So we actually talk to everybody, everybody. Like, for example, the residents who go on dinners, the goal is that they have nothing to tell us, and that's why we don't go, because we want you to be able to ask all the questions you want. So they are not allowed to tell us about the type of questions you asked, but they are allowed to tell us if someone, like, let's pretend, Aisha, I'm picking up on you because you're the biggest one on my screen, okay? Let's say Aisha did not let anyone finish a question because she was always interrupting. She was always, you will never do that. I'm just like picking on you because I'm seeing you right now. So the residents will tell us, well, I think Aisha is not going to be able to listen during a patient encounter, or is not going to be able, because again, if you cannot behave for 2 hours in an informal dinner with residents who are currently in the program you want to go to, how can we expect that you're going to be a good team player? How are we going to expect that you're going to treat the patients well? So do not mistreat anybody. Be in your best attitude of gratitude whenever you're interviewing, and the moment you submit your ARS application, just be kind. We understand that people don't have the best days every day. We understand mishaps and things like that. But then again, say like, you know what? I sucked yesterday. I'm really sorry. Own it. Because then we can see, okay, this person can take feedback and is gonna do super well. So I hope you can understand like the difference. And
That was
that was a lot. It's a lot.
No, that was amazing. Everything you said was super helpful, and your example was amazing as well. And you're right. It's so important for the candidates to make sure they're so professional, not just for the interview, but they're truly professional in general towards patients, towards anyone. So we have another question. This is, what is the best way to answer the question when you're asked, what are your greatest weaknesses?
So what people are trying to get with that question is if you have insight. That's basically what it is. Because again, it's very hard to train, it's very hard to give feedback, it's very hard to correct someone who believes they are flawless, right? Because like, none of us are. There's no perfection. I'm sorry to burst anyone's bubble. There's no perfection. And I think at least when I ask that, I rarely ask that question, but when I ask that question, what I want to hear is, you are fully aware of what you don't do so well, but you have a plan how to fix it. So I'm going to give an example. I really suck at hematology, like very practical example. I suck at hematology. I never understood the coagulation cascades. Never, ever, could not. So what I would say, I'm like, well, I'm an aspiring intensivist, and I know to be a good intensivist, you have to know basically all internal medicine. I really don't understand hematology very well. So what I've been doing is once a week, my scheduled study is on a topic in hematology. So with that, I hope by the time I'm ready to take boards, I'm gonna be better in hematology. Another thing, like if English is not your first language, my written grammar could be better, and I know I'm gonna have to be flawless to write progress notes and things like that. So what I'm doing is I am practicing medical writing, and I'm asking a friend of mine who is a English professor to read my writings, and I'm practicing it at least once a week for 40 minutes. So again, you have insight, but you also have a plan. Again, don't lie. Don't lie, though. Don't lie. If you think you're flawless, say you think you're flawless. It's fine. But don't say things like, if it's not true, like, it's so boring. Things like, oh, I'm a perfectionist. You have to be a perfectionist to be a physician. I'm sorry, like, it's not like that. Yeah. Sure. Sorry, probably that was like what you will practice for. I'm so sorry. Bubble bursted. I'm so sorry.
That was amazing. Deb, would you like to ask the next question?
Yeah. I want to know, like, how an interview is interesting for you, like from the other side, when you are interviewing someone and you say, oh my God, this person is great, I want to keep talking.
It's very interesting, because I get excited from energy, and believe it or not, you can feel people's energy through the screen, I promise. Again, like, your body language right now, I want to like get my coffee here and like talk to you at this moment, like, for forever. So like make the interview cozy and professional. Show people, again, if I ask you, oh, you wrote on your meaningful experiences or whatever, on your impactful experiences, that you were part of CP Solvers. Tell me about CP Solvers. If immediately your eyes light up, and you're like, CP Solvers is like the best thing ever happened to me, and you just talk about it, but you talk about it and like, this is why it was the best thing. I just want to hear you talk. And I think that's a very good way of engaging your interviewer. And again, you don't need to be like me. You don't need to be like I can make conversations with a stone on the street. I don't expect people to be like me. No one does. But it's very off-putting if I like the same thing. Let's say, so Dr. Loreto, tell me about CP Solvers. Like, oh yeah, it's pretty cool. We met every Saturday, and yeah, we invited some people to come. I don't want to talk to you anymore, because like, it's the CP Solvers. You should be super excited. Or regardless, like, you wrote a paper. Tell me about this paper of yours. Your first author. That's amazing. Oh yeah. Yeah. Go away. Like, we're done. Another thing that makes things uninteresting is if you ask me questions about the program where I am, and I am pretty sure I can speak on any of my colleagues' behalfs, and not just the Mayo Clinic ones. if you ask us questions that about the program that you can totally read on our website, that's really boring. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you read that. So, or questions that go like, oh, you have an international rotation, right? Yeah, we do. But you read that on our website, so like, don't do that. Open-ended questions, excitement. And again, there's several ways of showing excitement. I don't expect all of you to be like 200 volts all the time like I am. That no one is expecting that. But again, just like, CP Solvers is awesome. See, like I came closer, like I want to tell you about it. So it's just like all of the little things, like we can see excitement through a screen, promise you.
Thank you. I have, as you start talking about making a question, I have like one that I have about that. It's okay, we ask not just about the program, but about the city. If I ask you, oh, how is Rochester? Do you like living there? Something like that, not just talking about the program, the residency program, if it is okay.
Totally okay. And one thing that's important also, if you're gonna ask questions, for those of you who follow me on Instagram know that the art of asking questions is also super important, right? Because it's an art. If you ask me, is Rochester a cool city? I'm gonna say yeah, and that's it. That's my answer. If you ask me like, is it possible to go to Rochester? Yeah, anything's possible. I can go play the US Open next year if I want to. Anything's possible. So again, like, tell me what is your favorite thing about Rochester and why. Tell me what is your favorite thing about the program and why. Tell me, you know, like, or like, is your favorite thing about the program the residents? Hell yeah. Done. That's my answer. So again, like, the art of asking questions is also very important for engagement. That's why I struggle a little bit when people want to do too many mock interviews. I think you should do a couple of mock interviews with your friends and stuff, just to like make the first official one a little less nerve-wracking. But too many, then you like, people tend to sound rehearsed, and that's like, it makes it boring.
Thank you. Yeah, that's something that I personally also struggle a lot. Like, what should I be asking? And but before going into what the applicant should be asking, there was a question that you answered about in your Instagram that I think that we should put it here. You said, somebody asked, which are the questions that every applicant must be prepared to answer in your opinion?
What did I say?
You said a lot of stuff about it, that people must be ready to talk about their CV.
Yeah.
That behavior.
Yeah, I would say that. Okay, I remember now. Yes, I know the answer to that question. I don't want to lie. Post call. No, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure my answer is never change. It's never going to change. But thank you for following me, and thank you for liking that question, the answer. So I would again talk about your CV, but like I just said, talk about your CV with enthusiasm. Like, it's mind-blowing to me when people don't love this job, because it's so amazing. Like, the privilege of taking care of people is just like so mind-blowing. A privilege, and like being able to write about diseases is also like a privilege. So again, like, just be excited about everything you've done, and like what you all do here, like peer teaching, peer mentoring. So be able to talk about your CV. Be able to answer like these questions, like we just said, like, tell me about yourself. Some people like to ask the question, what do you see yourself doing in 5 or 10 years? And again, the reason why we ask these questions is to make sure people have a plan and understand the plan. The plan can change, you know, like, it's like things change. Okay. So like, again, we want to make sure, okay, someone who has never done a PhD who has no publication, like, oh, I wanna be a PI in my own lab in 5 years. Child, you don't understand how to become a PI works. So again, like, maybe that person is not someone that a large program like Mayo Clinic will be able to help. So that's what we're trying to gauge. So what's your future plan? What does your future life look like? Talk about your CV. Please have hobbies. Please keep them for life, and be able to talk about them. I know this is very controversial. I hate when people say that they are parents to animals and plants, but that's just my personal bias. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'm a plant mom or something." That's fine. I'll ask about your plants. So again, be able to talk about your hobbies. This is zero judgmental. It's just like, to me, like, no, that's not how biology works. And what else? Talk about your hobby. Oh, you need to be able to talk about your personal statement, because your personal statement will be read. You need to be able to answer again, in a growth mindset, red flags or things that didn't go so well. Someone asked me yesterday about a low step score. If we see a very low step score, even though it was a pass, we might ask about it, and you need to be able to tell us about it. Again, in a growth mindset. Yep. Messed this one up. I'm going to tell you guys. I did not do well on step 1, and I think I told this multiple times. And I absolutely freaking destroyed step 2. So like, a lot of my interviews, when I was interviewing for residency, people would be like, and mind you, I'm so old that I had 2-digit scores. Okay. So that's how old I am. And people will be like, what happened? And I had to be honest and say, well, I decided that I was superhuman and could do all these tests in 8 months, because I wanted to apply for this match season, and I decided last August that this is what I was going to do. And I misjudged how hard step 1 was for someone who was already practicing after residency. And everybody asked me, like, so what do you learn? I'm like, yep, I need to. And that's why I always tell you guys, like, online or when we meet, you need to know what you're dealing with. Like, you need to go to the source. You need to, like, I always say, it's not a set time to study for a step. You need to do the self-assessments and things like that. And I didn't. And the one I did gave me my exact grade, and I'm like, impossible. I'm gonna do much better than this. And it was like my exact grade. So again, be open and have a growth mindset built in your answers for all of the potentially perceived flaws in your CV. And I always say this also, they're not flaws, they're part of your history, they are part of the stones that you had to step on to get where you were, and own them. What else? Talk about your CV, talk about your hobbies. Do not answer questions about family planning and other programs you apply for to. If someone asks you that, please do report the program to ARIS, because it's illegal to ask people about children. It's illegal to ask people about spouses. It's illegal to ask people about, like, illnesses. However, if you make your personal statement about overcoming a personal illness, then it's fair game. If you make your personal statement about having children during training, absolutely fair game then. But if you have nothing mentioned, because then this person wants to hear more about your personal statement, right? Like, or about like a challenge thing. But if you don't say anything on your CV or anything, we cannot ask, and it's illegal. And please report. Please report, because Not cool. Did I say anything else? Like, did I forget
No,
something?
actually, that's exactly what you said. Like, wow.
I don't lie. I don't lie.
Yes. Now we know that it's very important to be honest. And you did talk about like some things that we shouldn't do, but what will make you want to stop the interview? And I feel like you lost your internet because this candidate is definitely not making the, I don't want to say the cut, but for a lack of a better word, like
Yeah.
you're like they definitely, this candidate definitely said something, and he went, or they went directly to the no list.
Yeah. I had 3 times this happened to me since I became since I joined the selection committee at Mayo Clinic in 2017. One was someone started speaking Spanish with me. Like, I said, "Hi, how are you? I'm Alice Gallo. Welcome to Mayo Clinic." And the person started speaking Spanish. And I'm like, nope, nope, no, not cool. So that was that person to me immediately was not gonna come to Mayo Clinic. The other one, I always ask a question about like a behavioral question. And one particular year I asked, and again, I'm very intentional with my words, and I asked my behavioral question the following way: tell me a time when you received feedback that was opposite of what you expected. Again, I never used the word negative. I never said it had to be bad. And this person like bangs on the table and says, "I never received bad feedback. I'm not gonna talk about it." Okay. And you're out. And and then the third person that I remember that I was like, it was someone who was just like very, very rude, in the sense it came across as very rude. I don't know the person, so I shouldn't say that they came across very rude. Their behavior was very rude. Because again, like I was asking something about their papers, and again, this person had a PhD, was an MD PhD applicant, and I'm not a PhD, and I never wanted to be a PhD. And this person was like, "Yeah, but you wouldn't understand because like you didn't do a PhD." I'm like, respect my gray hair. No, I do not have a PhD, but like that's not how we talk to each other. Because I would never say that to anybody. I would never be like, "You don't understand." Because again, like right now, September, see, I'm still in August, September of 2023, intern in surgery already knows more about hernias repairs than I will ever know. So again, like we have something to learn from everybody, right? So those are the 3 people that, and I remember their faces. I don't remember their names, but I remember their faces. I remember how I felt. I remember what I was wearing. So again, like that's not good.
Thank you for answering that question. So the next question is,
Oh, I just remember one more. But that was not with me. Is that okay if I add this one? So it was the virtual tour. It was the virtual tour for, this was for fellowship, but I'm gonna say also because like it could have happened in residency. And the fellow giving the, like one of the applicants knew the fellow giving the tour. And this applicant looks at the fellow and is like, "Man, you've gained weight." No. So again, this applicant immediately sent us a message, was like, he has no filter, his filter is completely gone. He should not come here, you know. So it's like the necessity of commenting on people's like appearance is just like mind-blowing to me.
thank you so much for answering that question. So another question that I have is, when a candidate is asked the first question during the interview, which is, "Tell us a little bit about yourself," I understand that they want you to talk about your medical school, how you did, where you went to medical school, what you've done since then, what you did during medical school. Is there anything specific or anything in general that you would like to hear about, such as like hobbies, or what do you like to do for fun? Is there anything, any certain way that you would like to hear the answer?
Tell me again, what do you think you should be answering?
Candidates are expected to kind of answer about their medical school or where they went, or no? Okay.
No.
Okay. So how do you want candidates to answer this?
We want to know about people's trajectory. But like you don't have to talk about like your medical school because we read your CV, unless people didn't read your CV, but like what we want to hear again is like, what is your why and what was the way you realized your why so far. So again, if like, oh, I've always wanted to be a doctor. Remember the first time I wanted to be a doctor, I told my parents I wanted to be a doctor, and went to medical school back home. And the reason why I wanted to come here was initially I wanted to do critical care trials in Brazil. So I came to do some electives to get experience on being a trialist. And then I met my mentor at that time, and he was like, oh, just do the steps and come. And here I am, like 14 years later. So again, I don't think you need to say the name of the institution. We want to know your why and how you've accomplished your why so far. Oh, one thing I want to say, I don't know. Again, I don't know if there's any non-foreign medical grads in this call today, but like, no one cares about like which school you went to, like, oh, top school. Like I see a lot of people putting in their CVs like, oh, top medical school and like whatever, my home state. We want to make sure you're a good human. Because like no one here knows like all the medical schools in every place in the world. And the US is very smart. They give us a rank, so we know the rank because they give us a rank.
We have a good question in the chat, like how do you sound confident during an interview?
You don't sound confident. You sell yourself. Like you have to be proud of everything you've done and just sell it. Just sell it. Start with your why, your North Star, and sell it. I don't think you sound confident. I think you sound proud. I think you sound courageous. I think you sound excited. I don't think you should sound, I don't think you should strive to sound confident. I think you should strive to sound happy, content, proud. So again, just read your CV, just remember what you wrote, remember how like the experiences made you feel, remember why you chose the experiences you chose. And again, like attitude of gratitude. Oh God, please, doctor. Sorry, I just saw this pop up. Doctor, last name. And if you don't know how to say their last name, do not assume. It is 110% better to say, how do I say your last name, than calling them Morris when their last name is Gallo de Moraes. So ask. Going back to the confidence thing, this is not something, it's very unfortunate, but confidence is not something extrinsic. Because if you are expecting extrinsic factors to build your confidence, then you're giving the world too much power over your feelings. So you, again, like, that paper that you publish is yours. You know how much work you put into it. Own it and like praise it, you know. 100% it ever happened to me. Oh, of course, like there are a lot of people that I'm like, and again, I'm not gonna lie to you, Francisco. The people that I'm like, this person has to match here usually are people who I met before, to be honest with you. We had a med student recently here at Mayo that kid is just like, I just want to work with him forever. But again, this kid like arrived before all of us at 5:45 in the morning, arrived with like the best attitude. He's like, Dr. Gallo, today I want to learn about the ventilated equation of motion. I'm like, dude, like, no, we're not gonna talk about that. But like, sure, let's do it. And he would like make everybody feel welcomed and loved and things like that. Again, he had a 30-day interview that he excelled at. There are some people that just have this halo around them that you can also feel on the interview. And again, I believe it comes from the heart. But you ask, what were the crucial factors? They didn't say a word that was negative. They didn't say anything ill-intended. Again, they were relaxed on the interview. They knew about what they were talking about. They knew what they wanted. They knew what they needed. They asked for it in a clear way. So those are the things, like, for example, someone who absolutely does not like research probably won't do well at a place like Mayo Clinic. We do graduate, in my opinion, the best internists ever, but we also graduate residents with an average 4 per resident full peer review manuscripts published in 3 years. So, and I'm talking about published manuscripts. I'm not like original research. I know we are in a meta-analysis phase of life, but I'm talking about original manuscripts that like involve like talking to patients, seeing patients, and things like that. So I think someone who wants to be a good clinician and never ever again publish probably won't do well at Mayo Clinic, and that's okay. But if that person comes and like, I've heard you have the best training in the world, I want to be there for the training, I'm willing to have you teach me how to do like good research for 3 years. And what I'm going to take from that is like, I'm going to be the best medical writer, because then when I'm in private practice being the best clinician, I'm going to write for fun. Again, knows what they want, knows their flaws, knows how to overcome them, and have the best attitude. What's amazing?
Yeah, we do have another question, like a friend meeting. What would be the impact of someone already working in the institution in other areas, such as research, to match in the program?
In my program or the institution's program, like a different institution? Generic. Let's do generic. It depends. Every program is entitled and has the right to have their own filters. We do have a filter for clerkships. Fact. We have people who come to Mayo without clerkships to do research, and they do amazing research. And most of them end up matching elsewhere because some other programs don't have the prerequisite of clerkship. The reason why we have clerkship requisite, it started after CS went away, because what I just told you guys, like CS was a way that we could, clinical skills was the test that we took before CS went away, and now is OET or the pathways, whatever. But like CS allowed us to get a report and see how people talk to patients, because CS was 12 standardized patient encounters. So it was a way that we could find that out. If you do an observership, and I'm sorry to burst people's bubbles, after graduation, what you are doing is an observership for legal purposes. Sorry to burst all yours bubble. You may or may not be seeing patients. You may or may not be presenting patients. You may or may not be the person telling the patient what your plan for them is. When you do a clerkship, you are acting like a U.S. medical student. You are like, we have people come to Mayo from other medical schools in the U.S. to do clerkships, visiting medical students. And that's how we can see that people can talk to patients, that we can see that people can tell patients what the plan is. That's how we can see that they are not going to like be rude to a patient because of cultural reasons. And again, like, programs can decide that. They can decide that. So I would say, for whoever asked that question, it depends. If you did a clerkship and now you're here doing a research elective, do ask your PI to email the program on your behalf. That will definitely put your application under the radar, like above the radar, so we can see it, and it might help. But I cannot give you a like percentage of chances. And by the way, I can stay longer if people want to stay longer. I don't need to leave at 8 if people don't need to leave at 8.
We do have more questions in the
Yeah,
chat.
sure.
Aisha, do you want to read it?
Yes. So we have a question. Nakpreet's asking, what should we ask when the program director says, ask for if we have any good questions for them? What should we ask?
First of all, we're never gonna ask, do you have any good questions for us? Like, we're never gonna, because you decide if your question is good or bad. Like, we're never gonna say that. We might say, do you have any questions for me? And if you don't, just say, no, I don't. You guys explain everything during the interview. It's fine. It's totally fine. And if you do, ask the questions you have. Ask the questions you have. It's totally fine. Like, there's no magic question that we want to hear. Again, like I said, I do hate. I'm gonna use the word hate, and I don't like to use negative words, but like, I really hate when people ask me things that I know for a fact are on our webpage. That bothers me. Because that to me is like, you're either lazy or you wanted to have a question. So like, you don't have to have a question if you don't have a question. It's okay that you don't have a question. Because our program director like does like a 45-minute introduction of the program. Again, you should have looked at the webpage. And you're gonna meet, at least at Mayo, you're gonna meet with 3 other people besides the program director. So plenty of opportunities to have your questions answered. So if I'm your third one and you don't have any questions for me, that's totally fine.
That's perfect. Kuchal, do you have a question? You can unmute yourself if you would like.
Yeah. Hey, hi.
Hi.
Alice, yeah. I think I was the one who wrote about that. That's amazing. I was mentioning about the student you had said who brought in like positive energy early morning hours and being very enthusiastic. The whole incident just sounded very amazing.
Yeah.
And the question which I actually had was that I'm an old international medical graduate and I have observerships, but one of the feedbacks which I received from the programs I interviewed in last match was that given the fact that I was old grad, they think it would be the best for me to actually work in a hospital or a program or like, something which is like a clerkship, but I can't do a clerkship because I'm graduated. And that's how the program is going to know me, and then they would be able to vouch for me. And yeah, so if given that feedback, I have joined as a surgical assist in a program, and I do meet people who are perceptors, but not necessarily yet the program director or the associate program director.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to get your feedback or input as to if the chances of, I feel like I'm laying all my eggs in just one basket when I'm just trying to count on the place where I'm working to see if I could match in that same program, or to continue to reach out to other programs and do all what I am to do and hope for the best.
I'm not sure I understand your question fully, so is it okay if I rephrase what I understood and then you tell me if it's correct?
Mhm.
Okay, you're applying to surgery and
Um,
or a surgical specialty, and someone told you that you should work in the program to have people vouch for you. I semi agree with them in the sense that I do think and again, like for those of you who follow me on Instagram and on Twitter, I always say, like, if you're an older graduate, and by old graduate, we do not, with all due respect, give a fuck about your age. Do not care. Do not care. If you graduated last year and you're 50 years old, man, good for you. But if you graduated 10 years ago, I'm sorry, but it is harder to train people who already have 10 years of baggage. It is harder. I'm happy to discuss further, but okay, digressed. So what I personally interpret about working is, to be honest with you, a 2-for-1 that will be something like a research or something like a research coordinator, because then you could talk to patients in your research coordinator role. Patients would give the feedback. You would still have your name on publications, and you would have to meet with a PI in the surgical department every day that could then pick up the phone and be like, hey, Dr. PD, please review Kushal's application. I don't understand anyone, even US grad teachers, telling you to do something clinical. I don't get it, because that doesn't, again, it's illegal. Like, you cannot practice medicine without a license, because if you get caught, you're in trouble.
I think you answered my question. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
thank you.
and I would still apply everywhere, and I would ask whoever you're working with that has an MD behind their name. They have to know other people, and they have to be able to call on your behalf, and that's all you need. You need someone to review your application and give you an interview. And that's another thing, people. Statistics are pretty and awesome, and like, but they're just statistics. You can only occupy one residency slot. Like, you cannot occupy 10 residency slots. And very important also is be very careful with what other people tell you, because I could have very easily, the moment I matched, just change my own story and say, oh, I did so great on both steps, and I was like, my application was perfect. Bullshit. I did horribly on step 1. So be careful. But I have no problems being vulnerable, so be careful with what you hear and read on the internet as well.
Thank you so much. That's very true. Like on internet, we have so many information, and we don't really know what's the source or how reliable it could be. So thank you for giving us all this insight. For the sake of time, we have one more question.
Oh, I don't care. I honestly don't care. I can hang out.
Thank you so much.
I really can hang out.
Here, Amrish says, if someone gets filtered out of the whole application process based on their year of graduation, but maybe they have a great score and a great CV, basically, basically putting that the year of graduation is the only red flag. How do they bypass that filter and get an interview from a place like Mayo, other than sending emails of interest? And if there is any other way to increase their chances of getting an interview? Oh, by the way, disclaimer, sorry, Dr. Alice, before you answered it, that's something that Dr. Alice answer a lot on her Instagram. So follow her.
That's so cute. Thank you. Thank you for the plug. And again, I'm gonna say this again because I feel like there's a big misconception. Red flag is different than filter. Year of graduation is year of graduation. You cannot change that. But you cannot blame a program for having that filter. You can't. It's a fact. Like, it's the same thing. Like, I don't know if any of you have already see me in person. I'm like this tiny human being. Like, I'm like 4'9". I would love to be like 6 foot tall, but I'm not. Year of graduation is the same thing. Your year of graduation, you said, just because you said 10 years ago, so your year of graduation was 2003, it was 2003. That's a filter. A red flag is being arrested. A red flag is failing histology and pathology in medical school if you want to go into pathology. Red flag is failing anatomy if you want to be a surgeon. They are completely different. Completely different. Year of graduation is a filter. The same way that programs do have filters for IMGs. Programs do have filters for ESFMG certificate. Programs do have filters for failing a step. That's a filter. For you to overcome a filter, you have to be here and you have to have the strongest networking possible so people can call for you. And you also have to be a good manager of your expectations. If you are, if you're gonna fall into a program's red flags, into a program's filter, filter. If you're gonna fall into a program's filter, maybe that's not the program for you. I know that's not what you want to hear, but I'm not here to lie. I would do a disfavor.
No, that's perfect. Like that, as I said, it's much better to have the reality, no sugar coated, like, because honestly, some IMGs we don't have like the time or the resources to lose. And it's like, it's better to be realistic and see where are you going to apply. So thank you.
Lying and sugarcoating makes life more expensive. I've realized that. Seriously. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, to all of you. When when I was here the first time, my husband was doing his clerkship, and I had my godfather here, so I just like I literally just observed his rounds every day, and he told me, like, meet with the APD for recruitment at that time, lovely guy. And at that time, they already had this, like, they were like, Alice, for IMGs, we do not accept observerships only. So, like, don't even waste your money with us. And I didn't. But look at me now. I came here for fellowship and never left. So again, it's just like, but I'm very thankful. I'm forever thankful. His name is Dr. Edson. He's retired now. But like, I'm forever thankful for him because it saved me at that time $25. So it's great. And a lot of heartache.
I love it. I have one question. Like,
Yeah.
do you like to receive a thank you after an interview or an email saying thank you, or no? That you it's a lot for your mail inbox?
I'm gonna tell you, it depends. If it's a generic thank you, no thank you. If we connected and you want to send me a thank you, please do. However, I'm going to tell you guys this again, very honest and vulnerable. Some programs do make a program policy of like, do not send thank you notes. We won't be communicating with you. So if you still send it, then we're like, you cannot follow instructions, or you thought we were like, we thought it was like a catch, you know? So like, if a program tells you like, we created this policy, we are not going to communicate, please don't communicate, then don't. But like, I'm going to tell you, like, so for example, And I love good stationery also. Like if you all follow me, you know how much I love pens and paper and like stickers and all of that. But like if I was gonna send, if I'm gonna send things, I send written notes. I don't send emails. Like for thank you for anything, I send written email. Send written notes and cards and all of that. I always have like good stationery around. And I'm gonna tell an example of someone. I interviewed a fellow Swiftie a couple years ago, and we literally spent like half of our interview like making our answers and questions together like a Taylor Swift song. So like I'll be like, I'm enchanted to meet you, and she's like, I'm enchanted to meet you, and like things like that. It's like, oh, happy for you, confused and lonely in the same way. Medical school was like a whirlwind and things like that. So she sends me like the most lovely thank you email with like all paragraphs written in Taylor Swift songs. So we had a blast. Very memorable. Unfortunately, she chose to go somewhere else. I wish she was here. But she then sent me an email. She's like, hey, I want to tell you that I was going to rank mail #1 because of you, because I loved our interview. But I had a family situation and I'm going to have to stay home. And I'm like, it's very sad, but keep in touch. So again, it depends. But if a program has instructions, please follow the instructions, because again, like someone sent an email, Dr. Thompson last year said, like, guys, the emails get to be too much. Let's all create a policy. And I'm going to say that on my presentation. We are not going to communicate. They don't communicate after the interview. We like interview is what we are going to go by. And then someone did still send an email, and then she's like, okay, does it mean that they cannot follow directions? Is that what it means? Or it just means that they thought it was like a catch? So we were like, we couldn't decide. So again, if the program tells you no. Yes. Hi.
Thank you so much for the insights. And really, I really appreciate this. And for everyone that's watching us, thank you. Everybody that's
it? I can stay. Oh, look at that NYU. What did they say NYU? And again, dude, you didn't follow my instructions. I don't know how to say your name, but you did not, or it's a girl. I don't know. I cannot see the picture of my glass. My last name is Gallo de Moraes. Ask, don't assume. For the insightful, I wanted to inquire whether my year-long observership experience at NYU. I don't even understand what a year-long observership is.
I'm guessing that it's like a rotation that has like some places like Cleveland, Harrington program. If somebody's watching on YouTube, they do not sponsor us. Like I'm just putting some examples. They give you this opportunity as a graduate to rotate with them for 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 months. And that's what maybe she is implying.
I would say always write whatever name is written on your acceptance letter. I don't believe any acceptance letter says USCE. I believe acceptance letters say visiting medical student, clerkship, observership, externship. I think that's what they say. So that's what you should write. And don't assume people's names. Ask. Always ask. I still love you. I'm not offended, but I'm teaching you. This is feedback. Feedback is a gift. Take it.
Oh, and we do have another question.
Yeah.
Francisco, but it's about the geographic preference. So maybe.
Tell me, what's the question?
Okay, Francisco, would you like to mute yourself? Is he here?
Yeah, Takalo. Yeah, thank you. So thank you for the lovely session, very insightful. I know probably it's not the focus of this webinar, but I was wondering what's the general perspective on the geo preference amongst most PDs, if this is the first year they are going to seriously use it, and because as an IMG it's hard really to have a strong geographic preference. Thank you.
Yeah. Didn't you ask me this when we met? And my answer is not going to change, my friend.
Yeah. It has been.
I don't know how people are going to use it. We don't know how we're going to use it. And it's a great question, but like my honest answer is that I still don't know. We don't know how we're going to use it. We don't know. We don't know, like, some of the things. One thing that really worries us at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, like when people say, oh, I only want to do urban. Well, we are a small town in the middle of the cornfield, but we have the #1 medical center in the country. So like does that mean you don't want to come here because cornfields are surrounding us? So like I struggle. It's a personal struggle. I noticed that my bias goes against people who say urban and apply to Mayo Clinic Rochester. It's like legit, we're not urban. We are rural with the world's best medical center, exactly the best because we have nothing else to do but study and take care of people. I'm just kidding. We do a lot of fun things. So I really don't know how programs are going to use it. I really don't know. And all my friends, like I have really good friends who are in the selection committee at University of Miami. I have really good friends who are in the selection committee at Ohio State, and they don't know. Like, we don't know what to do with it. And the same thing, like, we don't know how to use for the good, and we don't know how, like, again, if someone says, oh, I only want urban, I want like a place that has an airport to take me back home, do we even invite this person for an interview? Because they're going to be miserable, and if you're miserable, you're going to complain. If you're going to complain, you're going to make like the whole environment toxic. So like, I don't know, it's hard. Yeah, tortillas, there you go.
Yeah, it's making the most out of everything.
Exactly. And the corn actually is fabulous. It's like a little sweet. It's not like good like the Mexican corn, but like it's a little sweet. And I already found my favorite Mexican place, and I cater most of like the things I throw. I cater from them. I love them. And they make their own tortilla. They make their own tortilla. Yeah. There was like another question that I thought was important. Let me just see.
Yeah, I'm going to read it out loud just for the sake of the YouTube. Hi, Dr. Alice. Do you think it's a bit too intentional or forceful if someone displays their hobbies in the background during an interview, such as putting up a shelf with their art drawings? Thank you.
Please do. I love it. I love it. I actually really want to ask Yasmin about like the stormtroopers that she has behind her. They look like stormtroopers. I'm pretty sure they're not stormtroopers, but they look like stormtroopers to me.
They are the Mandalorian and Boba Fett.
Okay, so I was not totally off. Okay. Not totally off. So yeah, I that's great. I think it's great. Like if like this way I have, but I don't think you all can see it, but like it's a picture that I took in one of my vacations to Cape Town. So it's very meaningful to me. So I think it's cool to ask.
Oh, and Shelly sent me another one. Okay, so if the applicant mentions personal things like personal illness in the PS or application because it led to a gap, to what extent is the program allowed to ask about it?
To whatever extent they want, because you talked about it.
Makes lots of sense. I think that's the last.
You gave permission. You gave permission. The moment you wrote about it, you gave permission. I'm gonna give you all an example. I had someone interviewing with us a couple years ago that had a very specific reason, medical reason to stop, and he wrote to have a gap in his medical school, and he wrote about that. He made his entire personal statement about that, and I believe all of us asked about it, and he opened it up. Like, for example, same way, if you have a picture of your family behind you and I see children there, I'm gonna ask, because I love other people's children. I think babies are the cutest things, and I will ask if it's, but you offered. So like, for example, you have like, again, stormtroopers. I'm OG Star Wars. I'm a little, see, okay, totally sidetracked. I'm a little annoyed of Darth Vader and Mickey like together. Like, I love them both, but like the combination is annoying me a little bit. Like, but anyways, so like I can ask you like, what do you think about Baby Yoda? Because like I can see that you like watch The Mandalorian there, so I can, you know, I can ask about that. So it's the same thing. Like if you have a picture of your family on the background, if you have a picture of your dogs in the background or cats or whatever pets, like I can ask about your plans. And I'm picking on Yasmin now because now she's the big one on my screen. So it was Deborah before, so that's why I'm picking on Yasmin. So if you talked about it, same thing. Like if you decided to talk about an illness on the hardship part, I keep forgetting what the name of that hardship part on the ERA CV is now. We can ask you about it. Impactful experience, exactly. Thank you. See, because like I get confused with meaningful and impactful. To me, you cannot be impactful without being meaningful. Like, how can you have impact without having meaning? Like, I'm very, very confused. I'm not smart enough for the years people. I don't know.
About the background, we heard the history with Ravi that the person had the guitar in the back, and then the doctor said, like, can you play? And the person answered, no, I cannot play.
Yeah. And I think Ravi told me that story also. Blurring the background, okay, totally okay, as long as it's clean, it's totally fine. And again, like someone, I had the same experience. Someone had an ukulele. I'm like, oh, cool. Can you play? No, I just like it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But and I don't know. I know people get really stressed out, but if I was applying this year with this new experience thing, I would use one of my experiences for my hobbies. I totally would. But that's just me. And I would take one of the 10 experiences and I would list all my hobbies there. Because again, I personally want to know if you people can have a conversation that is fun and entertaining at 3 a.m. in the medical ICU instead of like, you already graduated from medical school, you're smart. And they're smart, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Amazon has beautiful stationery sets. I love stationery sets. Give me 1 second. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
I mean, I really like those. I don't know if you have seen them. Actually, our friend Maria is not here. Maria Jimena Aleman. She shared some like stationery, like Monette stationery. It's so beautiful. I had to look for it in Amazon. Also put it in my wish list.
I love this brand. I wish they sponsor me because I buy so many things for them. This brand, Erin Condren, and I always have like personalized stationery that has like a good message. So I always have and it comes in like this lovely box. Again, I wish they would sponsor me because I have like 7 of them. And I have like in my home office, my office at work, I have like a smaller one in my purse. So again, if I need to write a note, I will take the time because that shows that you care about people. The same way that, again, if you follow me, you will know that being clean and well dressed is a sign of politeness. So I wish they would sponsor me. Erin Condren, if you're hearing me, please.
Yeah, like definitely this is like a shout out on YouTube if you watch this video.
Yeah, yes, Erin Condren, please. If you're watching this, I would love to be sponsored for stationery.
That would be amazing. So thank you. We are almost 20 minutes over the hour.
If you guys have nothing else to do, I'm like so enjoying my coffee with you. Okay,
and I think we'll definitely stay here.
I have a question. If I do something on Instagram like Coffee with Alice, random lives, would you people come and like hang out with me?
I will. Yeah, I will.
Random whenever I'm off. Okay, good. Okay,
yeah, the chat is here saying yes, everybody. Good. Yeah, because honestly, I personally, again, Dr. Alice didn't sponsor me or didn't talk to me beforehand.
Yeah, we did not.
The IG has been a savior. Like how to navigate, like with my personal experiences, how to navigate all this process. And honestly, it's the best type of insights you can get if they are not sugarcoated, if they are realistic, but also with like kind. It's very difficult to be direct without being, for lack of a better word, like disrespectful or cruel or intense. I don't know how to explain that, but you have that like that quality that all your insights are very like direct, but you don't feel like a slap. You just feel like, hey, just
You're
think
very
about
kind. You're very kind, and you know I love you. Like all our emails is like, oh, like I love our emails, and I honestly love the CP Solvers. You all know the CP Solvers have a very special place in my heart. I absolutely love Ravi. Like I absolutely love that man. And and you all know when Hafa died, I lost a brother. So like you all know that. So to me, like it means a lot that you want to hang out with me, first of all. Because let me tell you, once you become like something that can make decisions, it's like it's very lonely. I'm not gonna lie to you all. It's very lonely. So I appreciate you wanting to hang out with me. And yeah, it feels longer though, right? It feels longer, right? Yeah. I had this like crazy, like, and again, I'm gonna say this is more like mentorship now. Grieving is unique and is individual. I listened to a song that I know he loved that was not a Taylor Swift song, and it just like hit me like a 200,000 bricks. I'm like, why did this happen? But anyways, like rest again. Someone asked, I do want to answer this question. Is it okay if I answer another question? Because someone asked and I thought it was the cutest thing.
Of course.
Would love to know about how you got to talking about Taylor Swift. So this person had written in one of her hobbies that she was a Swiftie and she was part of like the fan club. So as soon as she turned on her camera, I was like, I'm enchanted to meet you. And she totally get it at the moment that I had read her CV and I had paid attention that she was a fellow Swiftie. And I believe it was around the time when Red, Taylor's version, was coming around, and we're like totally imagining what O2L 10-minute version was going to be. So like she got to tell me about her amazing accomplishments, don't worry, but like it was all with Taylor Swift stuff. So it was really fun. It was really fun. And again, like books, have a lot of people that we connect over books and things like that. And we do read your CV, and if you get an interview anywhere, it doesn't have to be just at me. If you get an interview anywhere, it's because someone saw something in your CV, in your written word, that resonated with them. So trust that too. Like going back, I just had an epiphany. Going back to the question, I don't remember who asked, like how to be confident. Do know that fortunately in the United States, there's no free lunch. So like if you were invited for an interview, someone read something on your CV, on your application, that made them be like, I want to know this person, I want to meet this person. So that alone should be enough for you to go to interviews confidently or encouraged. On the other hand, do I sing? Man, no. Have you heard my voice? Like I sound like a no. In Portuguese, do I have any Brazilians? Taquara rachada. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how the expression. I don't know the expression in English, but I'll think about it. Just give me a second. But like the same way, if you don't get an interview, or if you don't get interviews at all this cycle, the exercise you have to do, and like the going back to the drawing board you have to do, is on your CV, because that's what's going to open the first doors for you. Even if someone calls and your CV has grammar mistakes, or your CV is all over the place, or your CV doesn't tell a story, like people just like fill it with experiences that don't make a cohesive sense, or like you say in your personal statement that you want to be a clinician educator and everything you did was volunteerism and service. There's a disconnection between what you're saying and what you did, so be mindful of that. And want to say it again, if you don't get the interviews you want, or if you don't get an interview at all, it It does not weigh on the amazing physician you are. Is a game that needs to be played for you to do residency, but it doesn't represent your value as a human being and as a professional. It does not. And again, when you people say things like, and you people, like, it's very endearing. It's I mean, with like, oh my heart, when all of you say things like, oh, but how do I make them notice me? Again, like, don't give that much power to other people. Don't give that much power to other people, whoever they are. All this Taylor Swift talk, I'm seeing a love story in my head constantly. Oh my God, I love love story. But my favorite is Long Live. I can't like I remember where I was the first time I heard Long Live. And my second favorite is Tim McGraw. Because I remember where I was when I heard Tim McGraw for the first time. I was studying for residency. Like in Brazil, the residency tests are different. And I was studying for residency. 2006, July 2006, Tim McGraw comes on. I'm like, oh, I like this. Yeah, remember. And I stand with Taylor in the Kimi debacle. I was always Team Taylor. And for those of you who are not getting these references, I'm really sorry. Your life is boring. I said what I said.
Making Taylor's version of 1989 with a lavender theme.
Say that again.
She's making a Taylor's version of 1989 in a lavender theme.
Yeah, I did buy the original though. I already pre-ordered the original. Like, there were too many colors, and I'm like, I cannot buy 4 of them, so I can't do that. So I did the original one because then I could rest in peace. Taquara Rachada, yeah, out of tune, but out of tune is so polite and respectful. Taquara Rachada is so like funny. Yes, I love this. Yes, and today this week I'm in my lover era. Again, if you do not get the reference, I'm really sorry. That's basically all I can talk about. It's critical care in Taylor Swift. It's very sad.
No, it is not. Like, you have something outside of medicine to talk about.
Oh, I have so many things outside of medicine. I talked about stationery, books, Taylor,
everything. Basically, we did an interview to you. Like, this is an example of what could an interview be with your program directors. So,
yep.
Hopefully it goes as smooth as this for all of you. Does anybody else have more questions about the interview? Like, we're here. Well, we're almost a half an hour over the hour. And this is also a sign that if you ever did IG Leaps, Instagram Lives, Leaps, I don't know how to say that word, it would be totally an success, because definitely listening to all this, especially because we are 4 days away from starting to send applications, well, to finish our applications. We know programs will start reading them after 27th, but it's very important. So friends, thank you for being here with us. And yeah, Dr. Alice, any last things you want to tell us?
I do have for application. Again, I also notice a lot, even though I speak a lot, I'm very observant too, and I notice a lot of the questions I get on Instagram usually is because people do things out of order. And that's why I did my mentorship Wednesday this week. Like, do not put the cart in front of the horses. Friends, for you to be able to match, you need an interview. Just one. So focus on your application. Focus on grammar, on making it appealing to people's eyes. Focus on highlighting your experiences, or whether they are meaningful or impactful in a way that makes sense with your trajectory. Make sure to, like, again, it's 2023. There's no reason not to use AI to correct your CV or to ask a friend. I cannot believe that among all of you, you don't have someone who's a native English speaker that can help you. So again, be mindful of that and don't be sloppy. Now is not the time to be lazy. Now is not the time not to be detail oriented. You have to be detail oriented, because again, you need one door to open, one door, and that's it. You can only occupy one slot in the residency program, whatever that is. And the early bird eats the worm really works for Eras. A lot of programs do one download only, so make sure your application is complete on the day when programs can download it. And that's why I always say to people who don't have an ECFMG certification by the time of application, that's why they get less interviews compared to their peers. Even if the CVs are very similar, some programs will just do one download of applications. And if people don't have their application on September 28th, I'm going to say, let's say September 30th to be fair, they don't have a chance. So again, it's a game, but you have all the tools to know the rules of the game, play it fair, play it square, and win it. There's no reason not to do the things the way they're supposed to be done. Umbish, I see you have your hand up, and I'm totally fine answering your question if people are okay with that.
Hi, thank you so much. I know that we're reaching the end of the session, but I really had this last question that I wanted to bring up. So, you know how you said that if I were you, you would use one of the experience sections to point out one of your hobbies, right? So something that really confuses me is they have a section where they say, name the organization. Now, let's say I sing. How can I name the organization? And then in the roles and responsibilities section, I can't just put in pointers. I would like to describe how that is a hobby and how it has been going on for years and what I really do, right? So could you basically tell us how to highlight a hobby in that portion?
There is a section that says hobbies and other, so you don't have to put a name.
We don't have that in the recent application.
Yeah,
so
you do. If you choose a meaningful experience, one of the ones you can choose is hobby. I'll tell you right now, I'll tell you immediately what it says, because I do have a training PDF. Give me 1 second. It says extracurricular activity club hobby. And I'm pretty sure, at least on the training one, you don't have to put a name.
Yeah, that's my question. When you do pick hobby, what am I going to put in the organization part, and what am I going to can it be a paragraph in the roles and responsibilities? When I describe it, could it be a paragraph?
If you did all your application as a paragraph, yes. Do not do some of them paragraph and some of them bullet points. So if I am the one reviewing your application, I'm immediately saying you're not coming, because again, to me, that's lack of attention to detail. Do one thing. I don't care which one you pick, but pick one. So you have to be very careful with that. Got it. Thank you. You're very welcome. Consistency is key. Yes, consistency is key. I would die on this hill. I'm talking about roles and responsibilities. This is a good question. No, pick one. Pick one. Follow Dr. Alice. She also answers this. Yes, I do answer the pick one. Pick one. My last name does not have an L. Just letting people know. Look at this attention to detail. I'm not picking on anyone's names. I can't see your pictures because I'm blind and I'm not reading names. Did we answer all the questions?
Yeah, we did. We did answer all of the questions.
And plus.
And we had a really great time talking about eras, and many other hobbies. Stationery, please.
Eric Condren, if you're watching.
Definitely, hopefully, we'll have to tag the stationery there, so they can see the YouTube video. So thank you, Dr. Alice. Thank you for giving us more than 35 minutes, like more than 30 minutes after the hour. We're very, very thankful. So grateful for all this insight. And yeah, like hopefully we will have you in more CP solvers. Like I'm going also to plug in a little bit if you want to join the CP solvers and go like discuss cases with us on the daily basis.
I love doing the cases. You know how excited I get. Like if you all of you like want to, very important. Like a lot of people. Oh, see, I'm gonna talk again. Okay, I'm gonna go say goodbye. I'm gonna say goodbye. I'm done.
No, it's okay.
It's okay. Okay, so it's
Thank
okay.
you. Thank
so
you.
like if people want to like are concerned about their English and things like that, the CP solvers, the case discussion, I highly recommend you watch that, because again, even if you keep it in the background, that is not to learn the medicine itself, your ear is getting trained. So again, like CP solvers on YouTube, and again, they also don't sponsor me. Just want to make it very clear. I just love them. They don't sponsor me, but I'm very happy to get stationery.
Thank you. Definitely.
No, I'm just kidding.
About knocking on doors.
No, I did nothing. But CP Solvers doesn't sponsor me. I love them. But again, if you think English is a struggle, just put it on YouTube background. Even if you cannot just sit down and watch, because it's training your ear. And it's training your ear with like medical words that very likely you're going to be using for the rest of your life if your intention is to train in the US and English is not your first language. Same way, if English is your first language and you want to just like, again, train medical language, which is a completely different language in any language you speak, because there's like Brazilian medical, there's like English medical, there's like, oh my God, I just said Brazilian medical. There's Portuguese medical. There's Spanish medical. There's like, see, I've been gone for too long. So do that too. And I'm very proud of one of the episodes that I discussed on liver failure, because I absolutely love liver failure. I think it was last year or the year before. I discussed it with someone who was at that time one of our phenomenal fellows, and I was able to like vouch for her to stay, so she now is faculty, Dr. Zhang, so I'm pretty sure she will love to come also. And that, my friends, is how you sponsor people. I just sponsor Dr. Zhang. I just plug her. Do that, because you know what, the energy you put into the world comes back to you. So like, help other people. There is enough sky for all of us to shine. All our stars can shine in this beautiful sky that is medicine. Sponsor people, lift people. It's gonna be great.
Thank you so much. And yeah, like definitely clinical problem solvers. Like if you look for her, for Dr. Alice on Clinical Problems YouTube, you'll see that at least 4 videos of her like will pop up instantly. So thank you so much again for coming with us and starting your Saturday here talking about interviews. We really appreciate this. Okay,
and I appreciate you wanting to hear from me, and I'm very proud of all of the things you do at CP Solvers. And if no one told you all today, you should be very proud of yourselves. It's gonna be okay.
Oh, I'm going to cry now.
It's okay. It's gonna be okay.
So, thank you so much.
Enchanted to spend early Saturday morning with all of you.
Enchanted to have spoken with you more than 1 hour on my Saturday. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gallo.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Next
Have a
time.
good day.
It's a love story. It's a love story.
We'll send you a friendship bracelet.
Yes. Yes.